And see how you feel tonight, right?
Yeah, tonight's going to be a late night. Tonight could be like an all-nighter night. So let's get into our speaker. Rick Newell is here from the Mercer Island Rotary. And I don't know a whole lot about Rick's program that he's involved with.
You're about to know a lot about it.
But I'm really excited because it's got such a cool name, and it's called abbreviated M.U.S.T, M.U.S.T, and it's mentoring urban students and teens, which is cool.
Yeah.
So, I'll let you take it away.
Great, thanks for having me back all. Last time I was here I talked about Paul Harris, if nobody was there. Maybe I'll move over here a little bit so everyone can see the screen. And so we closed with two quotes from Paul Harris. One was, "The foundation on which Rotary is built is friendship. On no less firm a foundation could it have stood. Let's be friends." I can tell you all like each other in this room. It's a good thing. And the second one was, "Rotarians are very much more favorably disposed towards action than they are towards words." And you're Rotary, so you are action. Let's keep doing that. And then a third, less well-known quote by Paul Harris is, "Mentoring is cool, mentoring is sweet, mentoring is really, really neat." No, Paul Harris did not say that, but mentoring is really, really cool. And I really desire those first two for us. I'm a Rotarian as well, so after this I hope you are better friends, and I hope you can serve this community better because of what we're going to talk about. So in light of that, I have a question for you. You have 1 minute. You need to turn somebody to your right or your left. You each get 30 seconds. And the question is this: who has mentored you in a significant way, and what did they teach you? So you got 1 minute, 30 seconds apiece. I'm going to time you. Ready? Go.
Here, Lisa, I'll do it.
My French teacher in high school helped me decide what to do with all my French generation. I can't.
We learned from the error.
There were mentors.
Fixing problems. Hopefully better than the last one.
Exactly.
Okay, you're halfway. Switch. The other person should go.
Along the way, it don't matter who knows where it would be.
Okay, and we're back. Mentoring is a super powerful tool. Legend has it that the maker of the game of chess brought the game to the ruler of India, and the ruler of India liked it so much he said, "Ask whatever you wish and it is yours." And so the maker of the game of chess said, "I want 1 grain of rice for the first square, 2 for the second, 4 for the third, 8 all the way through the board." And he said, "It's yours." And as you can probably guess, he just signed away his kingdom. If you did that and lined up all those grains of rice end to end, I mentor somebody, they mentor somebody else, they mentor somebody else. If you did that and lined them all the way up, they would go from here to the nearest star, Alpha Centauri. It's this red little dot right there, and back. The power of exponential mentoring is really, really powerful. This is a comic strip. I'm looking for a mentor who can show me how to get rich without boring me with a lot of advice. Especially, I think, as guys, we sometimes have a hard time to admit, I don't know that and I need some help. But I was really modeled, this is modeled really well for me in my life. This is my dad and a guy who mentored him, Jerry, on the right. And they would meet regularly, taught him how to have a good marriage, how to run his business with integrity and do relationships well. And then my dad kind of caught the bug and he invested in this guy named Greg. Here, there's a story behind him being in the ditch there. And same thing, he didn't have any kids, but taught him how to do a marriage well and your business and those sorts of things. And then Greg got the bug and he mentored me. This is me way back in the day in high school, looking for like I think a Don Johnson, Miami Vice kind of look back then. And then Greg invested in me and I got the bug. So after college, my last year of college and a couple years after, I grabbed a group of guys and poured my life into them. Not because I'm an amazing guy or anything, just passing on the things that were taught to me. And this is that same group of guys last summer. minus a family and minus some more kids that are on the way. So you get a quick visual of how investing really well in just a few people can affect a lot of people, right? It's not big and sexy, you don't see, it doesn't fill a stadium, but over time it is super powerful. This is my second question for you. Same person, you get a minute. What area of life do you want to grow in and why? If you can't think of an area, you should ask your wife or your husband or partner or kids. I'm sure they can come up with some ideas. But if you still don't have ideas, here's some other ones. Your career, finances, relationship, marriage, parenthood, art, school, relaxation, whatever it is. What area of life do you want to grow into? So you got one more minute. Ready, go.
I can pick them up though, yes.
Or art.
There's lots of stuff. Business,
At this stage of life, we must have in relationships and joy, relaxation,
Copyright, right?
down the road kind of stuff.
Okay, you're halfway. Go ahead and switch. If you haven't already.
Absolute learning. I love learning new things. I like challenges. I spend my week. Well, it blooms so late. I think also. But since I've got Mondays,
And we're done. Coming back in 3, 2, 1. Great. I'm going to give you 5 keys to good mentoring relationships. Number 1 is listen. If you are a talking head, it's going to be really hard for you to mentor somebody effectively or be mentored. It's hard to learn if you're talking all the time. If you want generational impact, you have to be able to listen. Number 2 is listen. If you want generational impact, you have to be able to listen. And number 3 is listen. 4 is listen. 5 is listen. No, I'm kidding. Number 2 is a specific length of time. So when you're starting off, say, would you mentor me for 3 months or 6 months or whatever your period of time is, so it doesn't feel like you're in this for 10 years. Maybe you will be in it for 10 years, I don't know. But you want a specific length of time because it might be a relationship that you don't want to be in. I had a guy mentor me that I totally misjudged. He talked an hour straight every week, and I just dreaded being with him. And so at a length of time. And then you want to check in about 3 or 4 weeks in and say, is this working? Are you getting out of what we need to get out of this? And then number 3 is a specific purpose. Why are you being mentored? Last year I was mentored by a top exec at ESPN for many years. He's retired, but I wanted to be better in my business and what I'm doing, and it was like doing push-ups with him every week. I would be prepared. He wasn't easy on me. He was really hard. And this year I wanted to grow in joy in my family life and life in general, so I asked this guy named Ray to mentor me. Will you eat once a week? So I have specific purposes what I want to learn from the people that are mentoring me and the people that I'm mentoring. And number 3, make it a priority. I guarantee if you start mentoring somebody or being mentored, lots of things, you guys are busy, right? Lots of things are going to push it out of your schedule. And number 4 is you got to be hungry to learn. What do you want to, I really genuinely need this from you, or to be learn from someone else. You tracking with me? Great, okay. We're going to show you how mentoring is being used in the context of what we are doing. This is for if you're not liking what we're doing, not liking, but just not into what we're doing. This is for what your life. This slide is intentionally left blank. About 13 years ago, I had a major meltdown. I mean, like, I don't want to live anymore kind of bad. There was a lot of things at the center of it, but one of the things was insomnia. I couldn't sleep. And if you've never had insomnia, the best way I describe it is imagine how you feel after missing one night's sleep, and then imagine 3 nights of that in a row, and then a week or a month. And my stretch landed 6 months, and it seems like a small thing, and there's certainly greater tragedies in life, as we'll learn in a little bit. But it really wrecked me, and it took about, honestly, 2 years to feel like I was stable again. But coming out of that, I asked myself this question: what makes me feel awake? And I was going to go after that, and I didn't care what anybody else thought. And I knew that my career did not make me feel awake. I had a career in IT. I worked at Microsoft, Sun Micro, Singular, a bunch of companies. And And there's nothing wrong with those careers. I'm sure we all have friends in them, but I didn't want to do it anymore. And so I took a major turn and I went to work at the Rotary Boys and Girls Club down in the Central District, sponsored by Rotary number 4. And there I found a lot of healing there. It was just an amazing. I worked there 7 years and it literally changed my life. I grew up in an upper class home, so I got to see firsthand the issues that kids face just to survive. Like it's amazing what they go through. In my opinion, for my 7 years there, the #1 need was positive male role models. That if you could provide that, it would help the most number of people. It would help the kids, it would help the moms, it would help the economy. But I also knew that the positive male role model probably wasn't me, just because I'm a white, middle-aged guy. And the kids knew that I loved them and cared for them, but in the end, they kind of cut everything I said in half, just because they realized, hey, you probably don't know what I'm going through. But guys, this is Shy back there, and I'm going to give you a couple stories here, and then we'll circle back. This is Shy. Shy doesn't know it yet, but his mom's going to die of a drug overdose. His dad's going to continue not to be in his life anymore. He's going to be raised by his great aunt, who's going to die of cancer. And his freshman year, he's going to steal a car. And this is Tori. Tori doesn't know it yet, but his older brother's not going to graduate high school. His younger brother, 2 younger brothers, are going to spend extensive time in the juvenile justice system. And his freshman year, he's going to break into some homes and steal some stuff. Traditionally, Tori and Shy have been called at-risk youth, but in a really great way, that term is kind of going out the door. And a study a few years ago now, relabeled them opportunity youth, saying, hey, if you can have one of these kids turn in a different direction, it benefits a lot of people. And the study showed that there was about 6.7 million opportunity youth around the country. And because these youth are kind of unattached to school or a job, they rub against the justice system, welfare, healthcare, lost taxes, and on average they cost society $600,000. So Tori and Shy together are going to cost society $1.2 million, and that's a very conservative number because they're probably headed to prison in the direction they're going. So I started thinking in my problem-solving brain, you could spend a lot of resources on Tori and Shy and still justify the cost to get them to go in a different direction. So like I said, I realized I probably wasn't the mentor, but guys like Aaron would be awesome. Aaron's childhood was really brutal, and we don't want to stereotype African Americans. Most their home life is great. They're not in danger of dropping out of high school. They're doing great. But there are certain sections of African American communities that are really struggling, and Aaron was part of that. His childhood was brutal, but he's in college. He's making his way through. When I would say something, kids would be like, all right. But when Aaron would say something, they'd be like, really? They see him. He's a near peer. They can see where he's going. And I knew from quality mentoring, you can do academics get better, attendance gets better, depression goes down, long-term outcome-based mentoring like we wanted to do, also improve social acceptance, deviant behavior, drug use, sexual activity. I knew that from research, mentoring is a 3-to-1 benefit. You give mentoring $1, it'll give you 3 back. But what we wanted to do, I thought we can probably beat that number by quite a bit. So we started our organization. It's called M.U.S.T. It stands for Mentoring Urban Students and Teams. Mentoring is a must. And this is what we do. We work with the middle school counselors that feed Garfield, Franklin, Cleveland, and Beach in the Rainier Valley. And we have 9 indicators to grab kids that are the most vulnerable of dropping out of high school. So we have a good idea who we're working with. And then what we do is we go find African American guys who are in college and we pay them to mentor African American guys who are in danger of dropping out of high school. It's their job. So we can hold them a higher accountability. It helps with school. We pay them $30 an hour to start so they don't have to work a bunch of hours. We tell them your #1 job is do awesome in school. Your #2 job is be an awesome mentor for these guys underneath them. And it's a 4-year mentoring program, really a 6-year. We get them 4 years through high school, and then we give them support 2 years after high school as well. And so the big idea is that the younger guys watch the older and start thinking, if he can do it, I can do it, right? And then our final tier is coaches, and these are older, wiser guys in the community of any race that come alongside our guys in college and just help them navigate life and figure out their career and how to be a good mentor and their girlfriend or whatever else is going on. So I mentioned a few hurdles that Tori and Shy have to overcome. I'm going to mention a few more and just want you to be honest. Would you have graduated high school if you faced Not all of these, but some of these, all right? The first one is no dad at home. If you took my dad out of my life, I honestly don't know where I would be. And some of you might be thinking, please take my dad out of my life. He was not an awesome guy. But in general, if you take the father out of the home, it just leaves a gap in kids' lives. And this is Aaron with Shy. So Aaron is a near peer, positive male role model starting to fill the hole that Shy's dad has left. And they're together over a 4-year period. Number 2, no one checks their grades. If no one asks you what kind of grades you got in high school, how good of grades would you have gotten? Seattle Public Schools has this thing called The Source, and you can jump online. This is my son's grades in middle school. He's awesome. And you can drill down and find out what assignments they're missing, what tests they need to make up, or classes they've missed. You have a really good, firm grasp on how they're doing right away. And we have, next week, we signed the document to have an official relationship with the Seattle Public Schools. Kelvin Washington on the right there is our area director. He's been the driving force. I wish he was here right now. He's just an amazing, amazing man. Number 3, no one gets them up in the morning for school. If no one wakes you up, how many periods of school would you miss? I definitely would have missed a lot of classes. But we have our guys once a week. They get them and take them for breakfast at McDonald's or IHOP or wherever they want to go. And once a week they get to school on time, and they're with somebody who values education, who is in college. Number 2, not enough food. If you are skipping meals, I guarantee your math test on Friday doesn't matter a whole lot. And so for us, they get 1 breakfast a week at least with us. And we do, twice a month, we do fun events with them, like go-karts and movies and rock climbing. But we also do one like this. We brought in Chef Mason, who's right there cutting the chicken, and teaching them why it's important to get good stuff in your body. It helps you learn, it helps you grow, it helps you focus. Not enough clothes. If you have a limited number of clothes, then you have to wear the same ones to school every week. And as a high schooler especially, it's a shameful thing. If you don't have a laundromat or somewhere to wash your clothes, they begin to smell, and it's one more reason they don't want to go to school, and they have more and more hurdles. I mean, we're halfway, and look at that list. That is really tough to get over. Quarterly, we do life skill events. So this one's a health and wellness, why it's important to exercise. There's the crew last fall. This one was how to retire a millionaire. It's easier than you think. And just teaching them the basics that I'm sure many of you know. Save 15% of every paycheck, avoid bad debt, how do you buy a home, just those basic things. And here's Tori on the right that you met. And he met with this guy right here who's a real estate guy, and Tori wants to buy a home there. That thought entered his brain during this time. And this is a relationship one, teaching him healthy relationships with ladies. Violence in the home. We live a block off of Rainier on Rainier Avenue, and so last year was a lot better, but the year before we probably heard 50 gunshots within 3 blocks of our house. So 12:30 at night, bang! 1:30 at night, bang, bang, bang! And if you know anything about childhood development, feeling safe growing up is super important. If you don't feel safe, it's called toxic stress you're under, and it affects you in a lot of different ways. So we give them lots of fun stuff to do to unplug. Take them inner tubing, I-Fly at South Center, river rafting. Just give them lots of fun stuff and expand their worldview. And change multiple schools. One of our guys changed schools 6 times in the first 2 years. And not because he's misbehaving, it's just because their family had to move around a lot. And so it's just hard to focus. But we are one of the only constants in their life. But even if they change schools, their mentor still meets with them, they still come on the group events. Well, we give them a different gang sort of to be a part of. Basketball events are often very popular. The police. So this is a touchy one, but just like there's any career, good teachers, bad teachers, there's good police and bad police. And a bad teacher might do a little bit of damage, but a bad police officer can do a lot. Our area director, Kelvin, he has 2 master's degrees, he's married, there's nothing suspicious about him at all, and he went running in a predominantly white neighborhood where he lived, and the police pulled him over and asked, well, why are you here? He's wearing his sweats, he's sweating, I'm going for a run. Where do you live? He gives him his address. And so he goes home, and it's not a one-off. He has a guy that he's mentoring that is an athlete, he's in college, and he went for a run. And the police pulled him over, put him in handcuffs, and asked, why are you here? I'm running. Where are you staying? Well, I don't know the address. You can see quickly how that could go south if they don't know how to interact in a healthy way with the police, and that's something we teach them, like these are your rights and this is how you interact well with the police, because it could change a life just like that. 13% of America has 13% overall of African Americans in the population, but in the prison population, it's 34%. Massive amounts of injustice going on there. Every year we take them away for a weekend. It's the highlight of the year for most of them. This is us several years ago. This is us a couple years ago, and this is us last summer. And we talk about what's called the Sinister Seven. They're the 7 most common things that tend to pull kids down. Going this way and one or more brings them down, like your friends. We say, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Marijuana, that is just a tough one. It's so prevalent. It's like me walking into a bar and having a drink now. It's so prevalent, especially in Seattle. So, you know, figuring out how to handle that with the kids and mentors, it's just a difficult one. This is Tori leading a conversation about the Sinister Seven. When Tori talks, he's been homeless, he's been through the trenches, but he's in college. So they pay attention to what Tori is saying. And the last one, and no one in their family has been to college. If no one in your family went to college, would you feel any pressure to go to college? For me, it was just understood. Well, of course you're going to go. But for a lot of our guys, it's not a matter of intelligence. It's just they don't know how to get there. And so what we try and do is pave a road, an easy road to get there. So this is Shai, graduated high school. This is him working at Domino's, working on college credits. He did college for about a year and then decided college was not for him. But studies show if you get 1 to 3 years of college in your blood, that your quality of life goes up. Your relationships change, your outlook on life changes, just a lot of things. And this is Tori and his girlfriend Erica. They both would have dropped out without us as well. And Tori, this is Tori, he's at Highline College, and he is probably going to finish college and probably become a mentor as well. This is Izzy, he would have dropped out of high school without us. He graduated last spring. This is Todd, first in his family to graduate at college as one of our mentors. This is Aaron, first in his family to graduate from college. This is DJ, first in his family to graduate from college. He's at a master's program at UW right now. So the results, right now we have a sample size of about 31 youth. We've been doing it for 7.5 years. The first 3 years were just a pilot program, so it was pretty small. And when we started out, we estimated about 50% of our kids would drop out of high school without us, and that's a pretty good number. We've reevaluated, it's a pretty solid number. Our goal was that 33% of our kids would still drop out because we knew it was going to be really, really hard. And right now, only 13% of our kids are going to drop out of high school. If you know what we're talking about, that is an astounding stat right now. We estimated 10% of our kids might try college, and that is a very conservative number. Our goal was that 1/3 of our kids would try college and maybe get through it. But right now, an amazing, I think it'll come down a little bit, but 68% of our kids are going to at least try college. And we have other avenues. We have trades, we have a program called Year Up, the military. They don't have to do college. But we want to get it in their brain that that's a possibility. Our social, remember it was 3 to 1. We estimate right now we're almost at 7. You give us $1, we give the community $7 back. We've saved society about $10.8 million. Seattle Public Schools graduate 78% of their African Americans. That includes the ladies who bring the average up, honestly. And right now, we graduate 80. We're grabbing the kids that are most vulnerable, and we graduate 81% of our guys right now, is what we estimate. Our expenses are really high as far as admin stuff, if you know the nonprofits well. But when we get scaled out, we project it'll be about 12 to 13%. We've had tons of people partner with us, growing number of companies. PEMCO just emailed us 2 weeks ago saying, hey, we want to help out. So it continues to grow. We have lots of work to do. We're in South Seattle right now, but we're in West Seattle, North, and then lots of families are getting pushed south. South Seattle now, but Highline, Tukwila, Renton, Kent, just because of the high cost of living in Seattle, tons of families are getting pushed south, and that's where we'd like to go. So that's us. We're serving African Americans right now. That is my heart because that's predominantly what I work with. I'm named after an African American guy, but our model is working, and we also, the other 3 highest risk groups of dropping out are Latinx, Pacific Islander, Native American. And we think the model, we'd like to figure out how the model maybe would work in their communities. If they feel like it would. We don't want to assume that it would, but we want to check it out. So I have 2 questions for you. What makes you feel awake? If what we are doing what makes you feel awake, you can jump on our newsletter list. There's a sign-up sheet right in front of you. They go out every 2 months, so you can just start and get to know us and what we're doing. So what makes me feel awake? If it's not what we're doing, what does make you feel awake? And go for it. Go after it. Number 2, who's going to mentor you? What areas in your life do you want to grow in? And last one is who is going to mentor, who are you going to mentor? And last one is who's going to mentor you. Okay, that's all I have for you. I really appreciate your time. Do we have time for a couple questions?
Absolutely.
Great. Just open it up. I want to say that this is a safe place. I'm White's. This is a safe place to ask any kind of question. No matter how I give this talk, somebody is offended. So if you are offended with me, you can say that to me. But if you have any questions, no matter how wild and crazy they sound, go ahead and fire them away.
I was curious about the people you're trying to help initially. I think you said 4 years of high school is the age group that you're targeting?
Yes.
Mentor. How about kids that are younger than that? And I think we hear about lots of younger kids that they get screwed up before they're that age.
Yes.
And we attack them probably even earlier than that.
Yeah, there's a great organization called Friends of the Children. They grab them there in kindergarten. So it's $150,000 for one kid. It's an amazing organization. And we're kind of modeled, the idea of paying mentors came from them. So there's other organizations, but we're a premium model. Our match costs a lot, but we're very effective. So the more years we add on, the more expensive our matches get. And our mentors are in college for 4 years, so that 4-year high school window is kind of where we're at. But there are other organizations that serve younger. Yeah, you're out. That's a good question. Any other questions? Nothing's out of bounds.
Are you still with Boys and Girls?
No, we left them.
So this is your...
Yeah, this is our baby now. Yeah, this is what we do. Yeah, they, how much time do I have? Can I tell you a quick story?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mentoring's in my blood, like I shared, so when I got to the club, I wanted to mentor some kids, and my boss, Ms. Patrick, said no, because it's a national policy, you can't be one-on-one with kids outside the club. And then, because kids were getting into murder and robbery and all sorts of bad stuff. And I knew it wouldn't help all of them, but I knew some mentoring could help some. And then a few more years went by, and I asked again, and she said no. And then her nephew stole a car, and I think she realized, hey, if nobody intervenes, it's going to go south. And I said, you know what I want to do? And she said, okay, you give me parents' consent, I'll let you do it. And so we did. We started our pilot program with 5 kids, and we did it for at least 1 year, maybe 2 years. And then the corporate office found out what we were doing, and they suspended me without pay right away. I was doing a kick-butt job. It would be like placing you professionals in a Boys and Girls Club. You would do a great job too. We won 9 national awards while I was there. It was great. So they said, we would love for you to stay at the club because you're doing a great job, and we would love for you to keep mentoring, but you can't do both. You have to pick. And so my wife and I prayed about it, and we just said, let's go for it. I never want to look back and think, you had a good idea, but didn't have the guts to go after it. And so, yeah, we left the Boys and Girls Club, and this has been our main deal ever since.
Can I make a
Yeah.
It's not really a question, it's a statement.
Yeah.
So I've been in this club, I think, for 15 years, and there's a misconception of a lot of things that happen, that people think once you get depressed, that we're in this bubble, and nothing ever happens here. And sorry that Robert's in the room, but just for, you mentioned the part about the cops, so you know, my son's walking downtown Snoqualmie, and that very thing happened to him.
Yeah.
Doesn't drive, catches a bus with his grocery bags. So it happens everywhere.
Yeah.
Just not in the Central District, not just in the South End or the North End. It happens here in Snoqualmie Valley.
Yeah.
And then you have to sit there and try to explain why it is and what you're doing and what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's just, it needs to be clarified that
Yeah, it does.
it's not just in certain areas of Washington that African Americans or black people are getting treated. It's unfortunately everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's a teacher, he's
Yeah,
a professional.
Uh,
He's a mentor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really
I
tough.
just had to add that.
Yeah, thank you.
I spend a lot of my time in African American circles, and if you start that conversation, just floods of stories come out. And so there are awesome police officers. You a police officer? Is that what I gather? Yeah, so there's tons of great police officers, and then, you know, there's some guys who just, we all have lenses. It might not be this issue, it might not be African Americans, but we all have lenses about not just race, but all sorts of things. I have them, you have them, and it just takes effort. If you want to be just, it takes effort to figure out what is right and what is true. So, yeah.
First of all, I want to thank you for your presentation. You're a very passionate advocate. We need more of that.
Thanks.
This is really
Thanks.
great. I don't have a question. I have a quick story for you. I'm a psychologist by background. When I was living in North Carolina, it wasn't my university, but a neighboring university, University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. This is what happens when you take these things seriously. They decided to start an infant enrichment center, and the payoff was immense. And they had funding from the state to do it. Only a university that has some resources, and state government when they team up. They wanted to get kids, they wanted early intervention, so the earlier they could get them, the better. Out of diapers, but before they even got the Head Start, or whatever else they could do. And they tried innovative things. They had people come in, one spoke French, one spoke Spanish, and one spoke English. And that's all they spoke to the kids. And guess what? They turned out to be trilingual. Not only turned out to be trilingual, but by the time they graduated at age 6, they're writing poetry in 3 different languages. They brought in mathematicians, and they thought, you can't teach kids math at this age. By the time they were 6 years old, they were not only doing calculus. I learned calculus to the base 10. They could do it to any base. It was the most amazing program. It shows what you can do when you have a caring adult in their world. And incidentally, the way they got their subjects to see whether this would work was to offer free daycare. And these were from the African American community and a lot of poverty. So these kids had a safe place to go. They had adults around them that were teaching them all different kinds of skills all day long, and really engaged with the kids. And like I say, if we were to take this seriously, we could go way beyond Head Start. But it takes passionate advocates like yourself, and frankly, it takes funding, because in the next election, there's a new governor in North Carolina, the funding was cut in the program.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a grind. Yeah, we need help funding-wise, if that's, you want to help that way. But yeah, I really appreciate your time. Any questions afterwards? I would love to chat. Rob, I know I probably scratched you the wrong way, but would love to chat a little bit. But yeah, thanks a lot. Anything else?
No, that's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was great.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Anything else? Anybody?